me or what was coming to me.
Or what was coming to you, Tony?
The world, Chico. And everything in it.
Where's the black man's government? Where is his king and his kingdom? Where is his president, his country, and his ambassador, his army? I'm protected by the ancestors. Voodoo runs in my bloodline. Don't tell me nothing about the damn devil. Yeah, cool, got you fearing you. No religion, but I'm spiritual. The man used it as propaganda to divide us all. I'm just giving truth. The earth in fear with the black man. The earth in love with the black man. Even down to fashion. They take the culture, then cash in. What you know about Gary Morgan? What you know about Richard Spikes? Your luxury car wouldn't have a shift. Your intersection wouldn't have a light. All praise to the black woman. See, without her, you wouldn't have a life. Have respect. Find yourself disrespecting her, then we at your neck. You don't want us in America, then return back what we did for her. You would have nothing on this blood soil. You all spoiled. Matter of fact, we was here before you. Your history books full of falsehood. You can't educate us. We know you dropped crack in the hood. The blow our families up, it didn't detonate us. As you can see, it didn't separate us. All it really did was elevate us. You can't kill the original people of the earth. Is you fucking crazy? I am a god in the flesh. I got the blood of a slave. Look at the black on my skin. A beautiful color of shade. Don't be discouraged to say black is black gorgeous. Black is black flawless. Black is black power. I am a god in the flesh. I got the blood of a slave. Look at the black on my skin. A beautiful color of shade. Don't be discouraged to say black is black gorgeous. Black is black flawless. Black is black power. I'm Nat Turner with the smoking gun. Change the comb when the sermon stop. The pastor telling me to keep praying. Life telling me to buy a Glock. The news tells us it's our fault when we shot down by the cops. We're witnessing a modern day lynching. No ropes when they tie the knot. Look at you trying to buy a watch. Look at them from the buy your block, then put you out. Starbucks on your corner, that's how they push you out. Then raise the price. Grandma lived there for years, every day of life. Now she forced to undersell. The system built for you to stay confined. I am a god in the flesh. I got the blood of a slave. Look at the black on my skin. A beautiful color of shade. Don't be discouraged to say black is black gorgeous. Black is black flawless. Black is black power. I am a god in the flesh. I got the blood of a slave. Look at the black on my skin. A beautiful color of shade. Don't be discouraged to say black is black gorgeous. Black is black flawless.
Black is black power. Black is black power. Peace and love, family, to everyone under the sound of my voice. Welcome to another powerful discussion with your sister, Dr. Maat. Family, you see tonight's topic, a black perspective on the Israel-Hamas war. And tonight, family, I have with me special guests, Baba Amin, brother Rahiem Shabazz, and brother Haki Shakur. Brother Haki Shakur, he's backstage, as well as brother Rahiem Shakur. I'm sorry, brother Rahiem Shabazz. And I just asked that brother, he's on the way home, family. He got caught up in that good old traffic. So he's on the way home, family, but he hopped in and he's getting ready to log back in from his house. So first up will be brother Haki Shakur, followed by that brother brother Rahiem Shabazz, and then hopefully Baba Amin. And peace to Baba. I know right now he's at a conference in Atlanta. They're having a black PhD conference down in Atlanta. And shout out to Baba and Mama Nkoyo of the Huru Academy. They represented. He had on his UACI summer STEM camp shirt. And so he sent me a picture, family, and I was just pumped up because he went down there repping and talking about the importance of our babies receiving STEM education, especially, family, in the 21st century. And you know what I've been saying. We can't scream black power without STEAM power. That's science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. So don't talk to me about black empowerment if you're not talking about STEAM education for the babies, right? So don't talk to me about nation building and liberation and sovereignty if we're not having a conversation on science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. And that art, I say art, but I say art in agriculture, right? Because I'm thinking about Fannie Lee Hamer right now. And she said, what? If we can't, a nation that can't feed itself, can't free itself, Ashe. And so we got to make sure that we're in the business of growing our own foods, that we are in the business of educating our babies, right? That we are in the business of producing technology that will fortify us, technology that will free us and fortify us. Ashe, family. So anyway, he might say, well, what's prompting Dr. Maat to talk about this? I don't feel like enough black media is talking about the Israel-Hamas situation. I don't feel like enough of black media is talking about that. And shout out to the black media who are having these conversations, right? So typically, because not enough black media is talking about this conflict, this war, this neo-colonialism, this terrorism that's taking place in the Middle East. Now our people are inundated with the Western perspective, right? The European perspective, the Western perspective on what's happening, with our brothers and sisters, our Palestinian brothers and sisters. So anyway, I said, I'm gonna bring on the experts to help me unpack this. I've been listening and watching videos, and shout out to brother Haki Shakur. This brother has been going hard. He's been on his social media. He's not just a social media person. He has boots on the ground as well, but he's been on social media and he's been very, very vocal about his position on the Israel and Hamas situation. So without further ado, I bring on our brother Haki Shakur. Peace and love to you, brother Haki Shakur. How are you, warrior?
Peace and love, free the land. Revolutionary greetings, sister.
Revolutionary greetings to you, warrior. I've been keeping up with you, man, and I appreciate, first of all of the work that you're doing. You're a very busy person. I thought I was busy. Until I started, looking around and looking at some of the stuff. And I only know a little bit, of course, what you show us on social media. But I said, this brother's busy. You're busy doing the work to free political prisoners here and everywhere. You're raising awareness of issues that are happening with our brothers and sisters all over the world. So you're doing amazing, amazing, amazing work. And so when I thought about this conversation, right, giving a black perspective perspective on what's happening with Israel and Hamas, you were one of the first people I thought about. I thought about you. I thought about brother Rahiem Shabazz. That brother had brother Rahiem Shabazz, and shout out to him. That was the brother that created the film, what was it, Elementary Genocide or something like that. Yeah. School to Prison Pipeline, that brother. But that brother has been very vocal too, about the same. You all kind of share similar views, and similar positions on things. So I said, well, I'm gonna reach out to that brother as well. And then, when we talk about the history, I gotta bring on my big brother, Amin. And so I have reached out to you brothers, and you were like, yeah, sis, put me down. But I want to start off by asking you this, brother Haki. Why should black people care about what's happening over there in Israel, over there in Palestine? And I'm saying both because we know that it's a two-state territory. So I say both, even though I really just want to call it Palestine. But they saying it's a two-state territory. But you have some black folks that are like, that's their problem. I got enough problems in America. I can't worry about what's happening in the Middle East, right? I'm just trying to feed my babies and get through the day. Then you got some black folks who are standing with Israel. And I've even seen TikTok videos, which I thought was bananas. But you have brothers and sisters on TikTok saying, I'm standing with Israel because I'm standing with God, right? Because they're, Christian, they're of the Christian faith. So they're saying they're standing with Israel. And then you have some brothers and sisters who, like myself, who are African-centered, who are pro-black. And we're like, no, we're pro-Palestinians. But all in all, aside from all of that, why should black people, in your opinion, care about what's happening?
They should care about what's going on, but based on the fact that if you're human, you know what I'm saying, and you're part of the human nature, the human family and all these type of things. But specifically, we coming from an angle of being oppressed ourselves. We are oppressed people. We are a colonized nation. So if you're an individual that's politically, mature and you understand politics internationally and things like that, then you're going to have certain different views than, the everyday working class people who might not be too, educated politically on the situations going on across the globe that in fact, it affects the whole human family, if you want to put it in that perspective. But specifically, African people or new African people who can identify with, oppressed people globally, then that it's very important for us to support other oppressed people in the global community, especially when we're talking about U.S. imperialism and Israeli Zionists. And if people don't know what that is, Zionists and Zionism, is basically white supremacy. You know what I'm saying? So we all can identify with that. We're being oppressed by white supremacists every day. You know, the United States of America is an imperialist white supremacist government. And I want people to understand this as well, is that when we're talking about Israel, we're actually talking about the United States as well.
Come on, teach.
Because Israel wouldn't exist without US. These are the same people. See, a lot of people walking around trying to separate the two, but no, these are the same people. You know what I'm saying? And this whole, I don't even like to call it a conflict or war. It's actually extermination. It's genocide on the Palestinian people, you know what I'm saying, overall, because this is something that's been going on for 75 years. Even before the Israeli state came into existence in 1948, those indigenous peoples on that land, the Palestinians, have been, suffering from genocide from these people. So I just look at it like this: if you Black or African and things of that nature, you should be easily, you know what I'm saying, identifying with oppressed people, because who's been more oppressed than African people? You know, and so if you seeing other, you know, peoples, nation, or colonized peoples being oppressed, I think it's a duty for us to get into that struggle and stand in solidarity with those type of people, because like the elder Haki Shakur stated, she stated that any oppressed people in the global community that's being oppressed and they are resisting against those same oppressors, that is a victory or a blow to the tentacles of imperialism. So we should be supporting any oppressed group that's resisting imperialism, because that's a victory for us in the long run.
Hold on, I gotta drop a bomb for you. I should have had it ready, because you know when you come on, brother Haki, you know when you come on, it's like fire, 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 fire. The Haki, I also feel like this: our tax dollars are supporting the oppression of another group of indigenous people. You know what I mean? Like, the money that our tax dollars are literally funding this stuff. Our tax dollars are funding, and see, people don't talk about that part. Our tax dollars are funding the oppression of another people. You know, I just had a conversation with my students on Wednesday. Matter of fact, yesterday, I had a discussion with them about engineering. I said, do you realize that when you get your degree, right? And this is not to sway them from working as engineers, but I want them to understand what they're doing, right? Yeah. I said, so often as Black people in America, or some people say Africans in America, or some people say ADOS or FBA, whatever. I'm talking about those folks. You know what I'm talking about, our people.
Yeah.
I said, so often do we complain about racism and white supremacy, but we go and support it. We maintain it. We help to maintain the very system that is oppressing us, the very system that we say we're fighting against. We work to maintain it. So I told them this. I said, do you all realize when you get your engineering degree and you go work for Lockheed Martin, a defense contractor, or Northrop Grumman, or the Army Research Lab, or Boeing, right? Do you understand that you are producing the technology? You are contributing to the production of the technology that is being used to maintain racism and white supremacy. The same technology that is being used to oppress other people around the world. And they kind of looked at me and they said, Doc, I never thought about it like that. Yes. What do you think they're doing with this technology? And you're creating the circuitry for the missiles. You're creating the circuits for the missiles. You're doing the calculation for the missiles that are being sent over there.
Yes.
And they looked at me and they said, Doc, damn, I didn't look at it like that. So I talked about how, yes, when we view technology, we typically view it in a positive light. Oh, it makes our life easier, things more convenient, more efficient. But technology also it's another side to that. And shout out to my comrade and colleague, Dr. James Holly. He and I are going to tag team a paper on that, where we're going to show that, how on one side you got technology that will help us survive and thrive in our environment. But on the other hand, you got to be careful who gets a hold of that technology, because it can also be used, and it has been used to abuse and oppress people. So I think that, yes, you're right. We should care. One, because we are an oppressed people. And so, like you said, a blow, if you got oppressed people standing up to this very same people, that very same system that we're fighting, it's a win for all of us, right? So we should unite in that we share a common struggle. And so
Yes.
we should stand in solidarity with those brothers and sisters. And you're right. It takes people who have a global perspective to even understand that. So I do agree with you on that. Two, our tax dollars are being used to fuel that Biden and them give Israel, I think it's like $40 million a year or something. Is it 40 billion a year? I know they send the money annually.
Yes.
That's how it's like 40 billion or 40 million. I don't know, but I know that they're sending them stuff. But that is our tax money. Those are our tax dollars being used to aid and abet what's happening to our Palestinian brothers and sisters. So yes, we should absolutely care. Now, I wanted to ask you this question, Brother Haki. Have you noticed, have you seen all of the propaganda surrounding this war? So, for example, like just looking at what CNN is reporting and Fox. And what I've noticed is that, and that's why I was telling my students, I quoted Malcolm X. I said, Malcolm X said, if you're not careful, man, the media will have the innocent looking guilty and the guilty looking innocent. And so what I've noticed in this media is that they're demonizing, the Palestinians, they're demonizing Hamas, and, they're painting this picture or this narrative as if Israel has never done anything. They just got attacked on October the 7th by a terrorist group. And, I was looking at the Breakfast Club interview. There's a guy named Jonathan Greenblatt. And he went on there. Yeah, Greenblatt from ADL. I think he's like the co-founder or president of something, ADL. And so he sat there with Charlemagne and DJ Envy for about 51 minutes. And the first 30 minutes of the interview was very rough for me because he sat there and he talked about all of the horrible things that, allegedly happened. And I'm not saying that this stuff didn't happen. I don't know. But he's talking about all of this stuff that happened to the Jews. Oh, a woman uploaded a video of a grandmother, grandmother got killed and they uploaded a video. And they did this. They shot him at the music festival. And I'm not saying that none of this stuff occurred. Let's be clear. I'm not saying that. But what I noticed is that he gave one side, it was they're the victims. This is the terrorist group. And we're the victims. We're innocent. We're just fighting back. But what he did not do was walk us through that history, like you said, from 1948 all the way up until now. Because in my opinion, Brother Haki, it seems like they've been being occupied, bullied. They've been going to war. And you know how, like, when the person get back in the corner, they finally punch the bully. Now the bully's saying, oh, my eye, you hit me in my eye. But wait a minute.
Yeah.
Back these people into a corner. You killed them. You occupied. You literally created an apartheid state. All sorts of stuff to these people. And then when they fight you back, bam.
Yeah.
Now you crying. Oh, now you're a victim. And that's what I saw when I watched the interview. So, Brother Haki, could you walk us through that history? I know something happened 1948. I think that was the UNI. Then something happened in 1967. Then you got 1980s Hamas. Then the early 2000s, the occupation. But could you walk us through that history so people can understand that it wasn't this, it's not this thing that, Israel is just this innocent entity or these innocent group of people that have never done anything. So a lot of people don't know that history. So could you walk us through and tell us about the history between, the Palestinians and the Israels or the Jews?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. That's the most important part I like to always tell people is that in order to understand this whole genocide and occupation, like you just stated, you have to go back and do the research and the history and do the chronology, find out what the chronology of this whole issue, what I'm saying, and how it came to be today. You got to go back and track it down and see why, what I'm saying, so many people are coming to, the solidarity of the Palestinians and like you said, even the people who are, African people who are defending Israel. But if you want to go back to the beginning of it, I would just say like this: we got to understand that a lot of this stuff comes from religious rhetoric as well.
Facts. Come on.
You can't leave that part out.
Teach.
Because this is where this whole Israel thing come from. Because to me personally, Israel don't exist for real.
Same. I'm with you. I'm with you 100%.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know how many people, who understand it from that view, but technically Israel don't exist. If you go back and do your homework and do the history, because we all know that land was called Canaan at first, the Canaanites. Then it transformed into the Palestinians, who are, they are the same people, the Canaanites and the Palestine people. These are actually the indigenous peoples of that land.
Facts.
And the most important thing for African people to understand is that these are your people. You know what I'm saying? You got to remember who the indigenous people are. You see what I'm saying?
Teach.
Who were on that land first. And then we know what happened over time, with all the breeding of people breeding with each other and things of that. You got the Palestinians you see today, the more lighter Palestinians and things of nature. But our people got to understand that it's still a large Afro community.
Absolutely.
Community in Palestine.
Absolutely.
That same media that you was talking about, the enemy of oppressed people, that counterintelligence media, they don't show these individuals, they don't show these people, they don't put them on camera, but they exist in large numbers in the Gaza Strip. But to get to talk about the chronology of the history, you got to understand, tying in all this religious rhetoric and all that type of stuff. Now you have Europeans who actually wrote this stuff, who believes this stuff. They're coming out of Europe, they're coming out of Britain, they're coming out of Germany. They're identifying themselves as Jews and things of that nature. So now you have what they call a country or a state by the name of Israel, but it's on a biblical type of timing. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So now they want to take that biblical Israel, which doesn't have nothing to do with the Zionist state of Israel. For people who don't know that, the biblical Israel has nothing to do with the Zionist state of Israel. These are two different things. These are two different, because the Zionists are Europeans. People need to understand that. These Zionist Jews you see in Israel today are Europeans. They are white men. They're Caucasians. So being that Britain colonized that land first, because people got to remember this. The British Empire was a vicious imperialist nation. One time. They came into that land of Palestine and started genociding these indigenous people called the Palestinians, conquering them, enslaving them, and things of that nature. So for a while, the land was called the British state of Palestine. You know what I'm saying? Because this was the time that the British was in that land, and they was controlling the resources and things of nature on that land. So they first got, genocided and oppressed by the British people. Now, people need to remember, those same British people who left, well, they made it look like they left Palestine and then they gave the land back to the Palestinians, were actually the same people that became the Zionists Jews. They pretended like they left, but they came right back talking about, this is Israel's land. This is the state of Israel. And then they came back in like the early 1900s, 1920s, 1930s, 1940s. And that's when they started to put down the brutal campaign of genociding those indigenous peoples on them land. 75 years. It's been 75 years of pure genocide.
But then they said that World War II happened, and after World War II, that's when the UN said we're going to carve it up. Israel, you take this, we'll make this side Israel, and then we'll make this side Palestine. And
well,
then
actually, they only backed one side of that. They made it look like they was going to give the Palestinians their own state, but that never actually came into fruition. This is why you still got the occupation today. It's kind of like trickery. It's like they kind of tricked the Palestinians. You see what I'm saying? Because they took them to one strip of the land, which is what we know today as the Gaza Strip. Then some of them was, pushed into the West Bank. Right. And then all that land in the center, the middle land of what you see today of Palestine, called, Israel, they took over all that. You know what I'm saying? And then they just basically, occupied the land, never honored none of the agreements on giving Palestine a state, a nation. So, and that's where we are today. It's that same struggle today, 75 years, the Nakba. That's what they call the disaster, this genocide that's continuing to play out on the Palestinians.
And so Brother Haki, I'm sitting here thinking about all of our great leaders who stood with our Palestinian brothers. I was looking at all kinds of videos, and I had no idea, you know, and I'm just speaking about me, just me personally. I had no idea how many people, and shout out to this particular brother. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. He actually went through, he created an entire video going through or just describing how many of the people we hold in very high regard spoke out about, you know, spoke out on behalf of the Palestinian brothers. He mentioned Huey P. Newton, the Black Panther Party,
Yes.
Angela Davis, even George Jackson. I know that's your guy, George Jackson. They say,
Yes.
I think George Jackson, when he was inside, he wrote a poem, and he mentioned it. Nelson Mandela, Malcolm X. They said a lot of people, you know, that we again hold in, James Baldwin, right? They said a lot of people that we hold in high regard, even hip hop artists. And I did not realize how in the 90s, how many people, Talib Kweli, certain artists would mention, you know, the Palestinians and what their struggle was going. And they our leaders recognized that connection between their struggle and our struggle. What do you think the disconnect is in 2023? Because there is a disconnect. Like I'm looking at Brother David, and shout out to Brother David Williamson. He said, never cape for people who will spit on us. You know, so where's this disconnect? I mean, coming from? So our ancestors, and like I said, our revolutionary heroes,
right,
that we hold in high regard, they supported our Palestinian brothers and sisters. But today you see a new Black person now that's just like, nah, I ain't worried about that. I got my own stuff going on. When did that disconnect happen, man?
You gotta understand, man. When you're in a nation that's been oppressing you for like over 400 something plus years, and I'm speaking, you know, I'm speaking specifically on the Black people in America, because this is where a lot of this comes from, is the actual Black people in America who just, like, you know, they're not trying to identify with that, they're not trying to get in that, you know what I'm saying? I just think the disconnect comes from the oppression, because we got our own oppression going on. And this is what oppression does to people. And this is why you got to try to elevate your consciousness when it comes to being oppressed. Because, okay, I get where my brothers and sisters coming from, that, yeah, we do have our own problems. We do have our own issues. Yes, we're being genocide. Yes, we're being oppressed. We need, you know, and even the history, I know the history they talking about. Even the history of what the Arabs was doing to us, you know what I'm saying? We know about the Arab slave trade. We know about the Arabs who constantly oppresses Afro, you know, Palestinians or Afro Arabs and things of that nature, the indigenous Black people of these lands. I get it. I'm with y'all on that 100%. And that's something that we got to deal with as well. We're not telling you to ignore that aspect. I want people to understand that wherever we're being oppressed, we're going to stand up against it, even if it's against the people that we're standing in solidarity with that's being oppressed. You know what I'm saying? We're going to address these issues, but the key to it all is that you got to understand, we're in the belly of the beast, right?
Yes, we are.
America is the belly of the Western imperialism and the Western empire. You see what I'm saying? So if we're in the belly of the beast, like I said earlier, there's no people on this planet who can identify more with oppressed people than African people.
Fact.
You know what I'm saying?
Fact.
So if you're seeing other people being oppressed, that should make you feel some type of way. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, and they're being oppressed by the same people who oppressed your ancestors and enslaved them for 400 years. So you should be trying to get with people who are trying to destroy the same people who are still destroying you on the American continent. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's all about having this international consciousness, this international consciousness. If you don't got international political consciousness and understanding why we must, stand in solidarity with other oppressed people, then I really can't really explain it no more than that. Then you got to look at it. Some people are just going to be that way. You know what I'm saying? And that's okay. I'm not even going to go against my brothers and sisters who don't want to join the solidarity with Palestinians and things of that nature. I mean, cool. You know what I'm saying? But I'm still going to try to make you see why. You know what I'm saying? We need to, get into these struggles internationally at the same time, because we're trying to get free as a nation too. So why are you not identifying with other nations? See, I think that's where the disconnect comes in, because you got to understand, a lot of misnomer Black African Americans in America don't see themselves as a nation.
Facts.
I think that's where the disconnect come in right there. See, if we can get them on nation building, understanding that we are a colonized nation as well, then then they can see the picture better.
Mm-hmm. And I agree with you that we don't see ourselves as a nation. And because of that, we can't relate when other nations are oppressed. Because like you said, we don't see it's just like, oh, them, they over. So like you said, they are a nation of people being oppressed. And we can't connect with it, like you said, because we don't even view ourselves as a nation of people.
Yeah.
A lot of us don't even think we're oppressed. You got some black
There
folks
you
that
go.
really don't even think we're oppressed. They're like, what are y'all talking about? My brother Haki crazy. They war. Y'all at war? Yes, we've been at war since we stepped foot on these goddamn shores. But a lot of black folks don't think it. They feel like, you know, we've been emancipated, you know, in 1863 and and Martin Luther King, and we got to, we're no longer oppressed people. What are you crying about? So some black folks have that mentality, as well, that we are combating. You know what I mean? So we still, it's all of that stuff. Mm-hmm.
I look at it like this. I mean, you gotta try to evolve your consciousness when it comes to these type of things. And what I mean by that is that, okay, we identify and we understand the history of being oppressed by other oppressed people. Mm-hmm. Other oppressed people oppress other oppressed people because they're being oppressed. You see what I'm saying? Or
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So at the same time, we're going to deal with that contradiction as well. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we're saying that we're going to just team up with people and we got these contradictions in these societies. We're just going to turn the blind eye to these contradictions. No, that's the part of developing yourself as a revolutionary with revolutionary consciousness, is to understand what right now we're in a fight. So we got to deal with the fight first. You see what I'm saying? Whenever it presents itself, when resistance presents itself, we must strike a blow. You know what I'm saying? No matter what's going on, we got to get in the fight and strike a blow. Because like you just said, we got so many black people in America don't even realize they're in a fight.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? So that's dangerous right there. You see what I'm saying? Because you got so many black people in America, they don't even realize they're in a fight. That just because they're so-called citizens of the United States of America. You know what I'm saying? Some of them are happy with second-class citizenship. So they're not even trying to see themselves as a nation or fighting for independence of a nation on this landmass or just Africa, period. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about getting political maturity at the end of the day to understand these things and see why, you know what I'm saying, we must stand beside oppressed people.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. And I want to unpack this idea, Brother Haki, this idea of terrorists. And that's why I wore my hoodie. Shout out to Melanin Apparel. I had to wear this hoodie, because what I noticed that the media, man, everybody's a terrorist. When the US and European imperial powers, right? When they do stuff, it's not an act of terrorism, right? Yes. But when someone does something to them, it's an act. He's a terrorist. These are terrorists. I mean, like, and so I really wanted to unpack that. Like, do you view Hamas as a terrorist group?
I mean, that's a difficult, you know what I'm saying? I put it like this. Sometimes it's difficult to try to, identify what a terrorist is when you're dealing with resistance. You see what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I view them as a resistance movement that's fighting for the total independence of their nation. Other people may look at it as, no, these just some individuals who's carrying out a jihad. They're Islamic extremists and things of that nature. It goes back to what you just said earlier in this broadcast. Who are you getting this information from? You know what I'm saying? You're getting this information from people who are oppressing you on this landmass. And we got to realize Western media is the enemy. It's a counterintelligence system.
You better teach.
It's a counterintelligence network it's a mechanism to control your mind. They want you to see the world and view the people in the world how they view them.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So if they think Hamas is a terrorist, they're going to use their media outlets to the highest extreme strategy of warfare to psychologically F with your mind to view these people as terrorists. When in fact, no, these are people who are fighting for their survival, to exist as a people. This is what Hamas is. You see what I'm saying? Hamas came into existence fighting for the self-preservation of their people. So I don't see no people on this planet who's fighting for self-preservation as a terrorist. America and Israel has no business calling nobody a terrorist.
Come on, facts.
When you went into other people's lands, pillaging their lands, raping their women, killing them, genociding, killing babies, taking their land,
Enslaving.
you know what I'm saying? Settler colonialism is terrorism.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
At the end
right.
of the United States of America came into existence with terrorism.
Facts.
So
Facts. Facts.
today, who's the real terrorist? So now,
Facts.
my advice to people: don't fall for the technology of Western imperialism media, because that is a part of their strategy in their conquering and their colonialism and their imperialism on the planet. That's their best and biggest weapon, the media, to make things in their favor. It's all about mass controlling of the mind.
That's all. Facts. I mean, like facts. I couldn't agree with you more. The Black Panther Party was considered a terrorist group. Remember, they were called a domestic terrorist group.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so I could, when they started saying that about Hamas, my red flag went. I okay, here we go. Okay, so now that's how you all want to word this thing or frame this narrative that now Hamas is. So I mean, maybe 20 years from now, or maybe 50 years from now, people will look at them like you said as a liberation group, right, or a liberation army, or but. Yeah. But now the narrative is they're terrorists. And I started thinking about all of the different people who would be considered terrorists here, right? Yeah. Black Panther Party, they would have been considered terrorists. Nat Turner, he would have been a terrorist. Yeah. So many people, terrorists, you know what I mean? And so I just, that whole word, and I just watch how they do it. Even when I was watching the Breakfast Club interview with Jonathan Greenblatt, he kept saying, yeah, these are terrorists. They're terrorists. Anytime you refer to them, there's terrorists. So then you got a lot of people who really, and I'm telling you this, the Western media, the American media, they've done a wonderful job, creating what they call it is Islamophobia, something like that, Islamophobia. So soon as you say Middle East, and soon as you say Arab, Middle East, or terrorists, you get what I'm saying? They connect all of them. Islam, if you say Islam or Muslim, and then you call them Muslim, they will say, the American population say, get them, kill them, we'll send out, we don't care about, because they've done a great job demonizing Arab people, people who practice, Islamic faith, Muslims. Right. They've done a beautiful job, a great job brainwashing folks to really view, when people think of terrorists in the United States, they think of the Middle East folks. They think of Middle Eastern people. Automatically. So when you got Biden and them wanting to send aid over there, the U.S. is like, yes, people are really backing them. You get what I'm saying? Because of how they view them, and they view them through the lenses of Western media.
Yeah, Western media is their biggest weapon. And I'm glad that, because at the end of the day, what I'm saying, again, who on this planet can identify with that labeling more than the Black people here in America? You know what I'm saying? You got to think about it. Ever since we were brought here, what were they calling us? You know what I'm saying? They were calling us all types of dehumanizing labels. You know what I'm saying? They're animals. They're you know what I'm saying?
Barbarians.
Barbaric and things of that nature and things. Even when our ancestors resisted, look at all the labels they were called when they were fighting back for their survival and their self-preservation. But this goes back to a quote that a lot of the elders be using as well. Another man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter.
Come on, facts.
You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day. So I want my people in the side of America, this is how you got to view those type of things. Because 9 out of 10, when the Western media is labeling somebody a terrorist, you should get with those people. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we know what they're saying and how they're using the media as a mechanism to deflect and try to persuade your mind to go along with their agenda of conquering and genociding people. So when you hear these type of terminologies and things of that day, you should automatically see that as something else, not what they're saying.
Facts. And I do see people in the chat, they're like, they're Arabs, y'all are caping for Arabs. Y'all do realize they're Afro-Palestinians over there. Yeah. Right? Do y'all realize that, our people over there too? Like and I think some folks really, and I'm looking in the chat, some of you keep saying, these are Arabs and not our people. There are Afro-Palestinians right over there, brothers and sisters. Yeah. Our people are there. So I'm just kind of perplexed on what some folks are talking about in the chat. Some of our people are over there.
And as well, I want to throw this in here. There also there's an African Hebrew community in Israel who are actually being oppressed by the Israeli government right now. So we're everywhere. See, I don't know where our people in America get this view of what the so-called Middle East is and things of that nature. They act like black people don't exist there.
Right.
And like, how do the people who was in that land first not exist there no more? That makes no sense to me. You know, like every time I see people get in the comments like, oh, y'all capping for Arabs, y'all taking up for Arabs, you know, and things of nature. You do realize in Syria, Lebanon,
come on, teach,
Saudi Arabia,
come on,
Iran,
Jerusalem, Iraq.
Y'all do realize it's a mass African existence in these places.
Facts.
These people didn't disappear off the planet. So you trying to tell me we're going to sit here in America and not stand up for our brothers? Those bombs you seeing dropping, those are killing black people too.
Come on.
It's black babies in Palestine that are dying. There's black women, mother, fathers, brothers are being killed that look just like you. They're black, they're Afro. So I'm trying to figure out what's the issue. You know what I'm saying? You need to learn about where your people are on this planet, because we're everywhere on this planet.
Facts. And I think that I don't think that people understand that we have a global presence. Yes. And I wish my cousin, I just actually got off the phone with her. She's traveled to over 30 plus countries, I think 4 continents and counting. And she said, we're everywhere. We are everywhere. And she's physically verified that. Like, she's gone out, like I said, like 30 plus countries, 4 plus continents. Like, she's been out there. She's like, yo, we are everywhere. But a lot of us are very, very limited, you know, in our perspective of the world. You know, they think that we just in America, or we just in Africa, or we just in the Caribbean. But literally, we are global people, and we are everywhere. You know,
and we're being oppressed
everywhere. Facts.
Not just in America, people.
Right.
Everywhere.
And the last thing I want to ask you about this, and shout out to one of my students, he's getting ready to come on. I dropped the link in the chat and he had tuned in, but he's getting ready to join us in a sec. But now, and I will let you go, brother Haki, because I tell you I was gonna hold you for 1 hour. Look, I'm letting you go a little earlier. Let you go a little early. But one thing I wanted to say was, you do have a lot of folks who are like, man, if you're looking at both sides, they're like Hamas, they're killing, you know, civilians. They're saying that if you look on the other side, the Israelis, they are killing civilians. So you see civilians, and particularly the children. Like, I was looking at some of the videos, very graphic videos that are circulating online, and it's showing children being lined up at hospitals, kids being carried out in trash bags. You know, I mean, just very gruesome videos. And so people, you know, I was looking at the interview between Charlemagne the God and DJ Envy and Mark Lamont Hill. That was another interview that I watched. And, you know, Charlemagne and Envy was sitting there, you know, I'm anti-war, you know, I'm anti-killing, you know, I'm anti this, you know, I just want peace. I just want this. And I'm anti-killing babies. And of course, like, we all, like, no one is pro-war. But one thing that came to mind was I was thinking about George Jackson's book, Blood in My Eye.
Yeah.
And shout out to brother Knowledge Born Allah, who put me on with the book some years ago. In that book, he said that, you know, to accept revolution, right, or to even to participate in it, you got to accept everything that comes with it.
Facts.
Right. And a lot of times when people revolt, when people rebellion and revolting or insurrection is never pretty. You know, revolution isn't pretty. So when people were sitting, you know, when I was listening to Charlemagne and Envy and that kind of cupcake mentality, well, I don't want nobody to die. That's just not realistic. You know, when you're fighting for your freedom, when people are trying to get free, when people are fighting for their right to self-determine, right, to self-determining. So, you know, when people are fighting for that, they're fighting for liberation, they're fighting for sovereignty. It's not going to be pretty. People are going to die. Men, women, children, elders. People are going to die. George Jackson talked about death. He talked about imprisonment. He talked about starvation. He talked about homelessness. He said, so to accept revolution is to accept everything that comes with it.
Yep.
And it's not going to be a pretty thing.
Nope.
But a lot of us have this idea, I'm a fight, but then when it's time to get locked up, I don't want to go to jail.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a fight. When someone says you're fired, I don't want to lose my job.
Right.
You know, it's like, what are we doing here? Like, do we really understand? I don't think, Brother Haki, that we really understand what revolution is and what we need to do to achieve it.
Right.
Because you may lose your job behind it. You may get locked up. You may die. You may starve. You may become homeless.
Yeah.
Are you really ready for that? And if you're not, don't call yourself a revolutionary. That's just my opinion. Don't call, if you can't accept everything that comes with it, then just stay out of it. You get what I'm saying? But when you see these people fighting, people going to get blown up. And I'm not saying it to minimize what's happening over there on both sides. But when you got people, man, fighting for their right to self-determine, fighting for their right to survive, to live, you know, people going to die.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be a pretty thing, Brother Haki. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, a prime example was what Malcolm X said in his great speech. He said, "Revolution is bloody. It's not pretty." You know what I'm saying? And like you just said, if you can't understand that reality of what revolution is and things of that nature, you know what I'm saying, understanding what comes with it, then you shouldn't participate in it. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, because at the end of the day, if you're a person that's truly fighting for freedom, then you already have in your mind to understand what's at stake. You know what I'm saying? What's going to happen? What's going to come with revolution and freedom and things of that nature? But it goes back to what I said earlier in this broadcast. Is like so many of our people in America are Americans. I got to throw this out here.
Throw it out there.
They have an American mind. And what comes with American mind is being spoiled. They're spoiled at this point. You know what I'm saying? Because don't get me wrong, these things are happening in our society because we're being murdered by a police state now. You know what I'm saying? Every day, black people are getting gunned down every day by this police state of the United States of America. But for some reason, black people in America don't see it like what's going on in Palestine and things of that nature. So I feel like it's a disconnect when it comes to the conditions and things of that nature and what war is and what revolution is when it comes to black people in America. Because, okay, we're become so, adapted to how the police killing us here and things of that nature. Or it's just another black man dead from the police, these things. They're not looking at it from a genocide and a warfare, way of worldview. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day.
Not at all.
When it get bloody, when it's time to get bloody, now they like, oh, no, I ain't trying to mess with that. You know what I'm saying? I want peace and things of that nature. It's just because they just don't see that. They don't understand warfare and what's the cause of warfare and revolution at the end of the day. They don't realize revolution is bloody. You know what I'm saying? And that's why you got to go back and study history. Because look at what your ancestors was doing on this landmass.
Come on, you better talk about it.
The Maroons.
Come on.
The Gullah Geechee people, the Black Seminoles, they took the United States through 2 world wars. It was world wars on this landmass. You got the Seminole Wars. It was 2. As a matter of fact, it was 3 Seminole Wars, Gullah Geechee wars on this landmass, fighting for your freedom, fighting against slavery. When they were fighting against slavery, that was bloody. You see what I'm saying? How it got bloody for you to exist in America right now. You're out here in this society today because it got bloody.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know where this disconnect come from.
Come on, Brother Haki. You ain't lying about that. I'm over here. I've been reading a book called From Flight to Freedom, and those Maroons were no joke. And shout out, they wasn't, man. I've been, it really gave me, because, a lot of people know about the Maroon history here in the States, but like you said, the Seminole Wars, there's Desmond Swamp, but man, the Jamaican Maroons, whoa! Exactly. When I read that book, I was sitting there, the Jamaican maroons were off the chain. And I had the opportunity to give thanks. My aunt had organized a trip for all of us to go to Jamaica for her birthday.
Yeah.
And so we took a bus. It was my aunt and my cousin and I. We took a bus into Uncompahgre Town,
Yeah.
right into the right up to the mountains. It took us 3 hours. And there's still a sovereign group of people. And
Yeah.
this was the territory of Cudjoe.
Yeah.
And Cudjoe, yeah. So Cudjoe, and this was his territory, and they got a big statue. And so I'm gonna post some pictures of me, but it was cool going in there and walking the land and seeing these are sovereign people. They were telling me,
Yeah.
like, they were saying that to this day that the Jamaican government can't do nothing to them. Like, that's
Right.
their land, they own the land, and they are a self-governing group of people. But they fought and they died for that.
Yeah.
And those Jamaican maroons were no joke. Even when you read the diaries of the European men who were
Yeah.
saying how just pursuing them they said a lot of them died trying to pursue them in the mountains. And then they had all these booby traps. The maroons weren't no joke. That's all
No.
I'm gonna say. And like you said, it was very, very bloody. And the reason why we enjoy some of the freedoms that we have today is because of the bloodshed
Yeah.
that
Blood.
occurred. And a lot of people don't get that. It's bloodshed. Bloodshed happens. It's like bloodshed and revolution. They go hand in hand.
They
And
go.
if you're not ready for it, it just stay out of it. You know what I'm saying? Don't just stay out of it.
Yeah.
Just stay out of it. But brother Haki, look, I want to bring on my student. This is my student, brother Nasir Randall. Actually, he's been my student twice, 2 or 3 times, and so
Yeah.
he's been under me for a few semesters. But peace and love to you, brother Nasir. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Hey, we doing okay. What's your
Good.
what's your perspective, young warrior, on what's happening with this, with the Israel-Hamas war? What's your perspective?
One thing I can say about my generation is one of the advantages we have is this technology, the internet that we have nowadays. So now we have access to the other side. And so even though there are a lot of people that's brainwashed, I've seen a lot of people, whether, black like me or even other Jews, that just look at this as an atrocity. To me, it's mass murder, it's genocide, and I've even spoken with people who lived in Israel for 30 years. Like, I've had chats with people, and they themselves, they have their own opinion on Netanyahu, and it's not a good opinion, and they don't show this. They don't show this on CNN or all the big major news platforms. They don't show you how there were protests to get rid of the prime minister and all these different things. And so it's just, to me, from my perspective, this is a mass genocide, and they're manipulating everyone, just changing. Like, a lot of people just don't see the full perspective, especially like the older generations.
Myself, I say, you say you feel like the older generations don't see the full perspective. What do you mean by that? What do you mean,
Like, as in terms of, I know I had to even have a talk with my mom because she doesn't know all these things,
right.
She respects my opinion though. So she came to me and asked me, hey, I know you keep up with this stuff. Like, what's going on? And when you only have access to the news, especially if you only watch one side of the news, you're not going to get the full picture. You're not going to see the videos that we're seeing on social media of, I just saw a video today of a woman crying, screaming that their blood is not cheaper than the Jews, And so it was like, that to me was powerful, but like, other people aren't seeing that. And I think one of the points y'all brought up was very important. Talking about how there's Afros in Palestine and how they're not just Arabs. I think a lot of people, when you watch the news, you just view these people as just Arabs. You don't view it the same way you view as America. You don't think, oh, there's Christians there. Oh, there are Muslims, not just Muslims. There are people who are Christian there. Like, the hospital that got bombed, I'm pretty sure was a Christian hospital. And so there was even there was a UN refugee camp for Palestinians that got bombed, where UN teachers were killed. And so it's just, a lot of people aren't up to date on the facts, and you're just getting this one story, this one side of the media. And I just don't think, if you don't have, like, us, the younger generation, what we have, which is access to both sides, then your opinion is going to be warped.
No, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. But let me ask you a question, young warrior, if you don't mind me sharing this with Brother Haki and the audience. You mentioned traveling, and you were saying how because of your name, and you are a Muslim, is that correct?
Yes.
And so you have personally experienced Islamophobia.
Yes. Yep.
Oh,
When I
yeah,
was
could you?
so I was traveling back from Vietnam, and we had a layover in Germany. It was a emergency layover. We had to land there, and so my name was randomly selected to get checked. Out of everybody, this was a really big plane.
Randomly, huh?
I randomly got selected to get checked, and I knew they probably didn't have my face, but they saw my name. My name is Nasir. It's a Arabic name, and so they pulled me to the side. They did this whole little process where they dusted me off to see if I had any residue or anything like that. They checked my bags, and obviously there was nothing there. But it made it more apparent to me because over on the West, like in America, we get profiled as black people, but the Islamophobia, like for someone like me that doesn't look Arab, it doesn't happen all the time because people don't look at me and go, he's Muslim. And so when I was over there closer to the east, it was very apparent to me. It was like, okay, I see now what people deal with over here. And it's very similar to what we have over here as black people. And that's why when people don't share the sentiments of, you know, when you see these injustices, it puzzles me because I'm just like, how do you not see this and not feel some type of way about it?
Right. Like you said, because you see the similarities, you see the
Exactly.
similarities, and so you're like, hold on, we go through that, and
Yep.
so that's what Brother Haki and I was talking about, like just that disconnect, and like you just said, young warrior, how do you see people going through exactly what you going through? I don't want to say exactly, but going through similar things that you go through, and not feel empathetic, right? Not feel sympathetic or empathetic to what they're going through. And so, anyway, before I let you go, this is my last question because we're gonna wrap it up in 3 minutes. How did you feel when I talked to you all on Wednesday? I think it was yesterday when we had this. Was it yesterday, Nasi, or Monday when we talked about technology? And I said that as Black engineers, we got to think about that when we go out here and we're working for defense contractors, that we are aiding and abetting the oppression of other groups of people, that we are contributing to the maintenance of racism and white supremacy. How did you feel about me telling you all that?
I think it's very eye opening, especially for a lot of people, because when you're going through the program, a lot of people mindset is they just want to get a job. I know me, I'm in this for the education, but a lot of people just want to get a job. They don't care about whatever. They just want to get paid. Engineers make a lot of money, and so I think a lot of people don't think about it. They love these, the bigger corporations, the ones that you said, and it's just when you don't really think about that side of things, when you're just worried about the money, a lot of people just don't care in this day and age. They just don't care. They just want to go about their life. Like you said, it's a lot of people who look at this issue in general and go, oh, I gotta take care of my kids, blah, blah. I don't care about what the Arabs is doing over there. And I just think that it's not the right mindset to have. I think you should be more aware. That's why one of my goals is to one day have my own engineering firm, because it's just, you know, I feel like you should have that option. You shouldn't have to come out of college and, now you have to choose between, you know, either some of the computer companies or, those sorts of companies, or you gotta go with the militant companies, which then at that point you kind of like, oh, the money is speaking. Maybe you're from a bad neighborhood, you just pay all this money for a degree. It makes sense in your mind to go ahead and take that job. Not a lot of people get a whole lot of different job opportunities in the first place, and so a lot of people is just, they it's just more of a selfish mindset, and I understand it, but I think a lot of people just got to be more aware of that. Just know what don't. If you don't want to be a hypocrite, just know what you're getting into. If you want to go, like you said, and work for those companies, like the Boeings and all of them, know what you're getting into. That you're aiding in the oppression of other people's and yourself.
Absolutely. And yourself. Can't forget that. I was just wondering because I think that when I said it, I mean, you all kind of looked at me and I was like, because, I just have these conversations with you all when I come in, things, because remember, I told you that as an educator, it's not my job to just come in and disseminate the textbook stuff, right, to you. it's my job to prepare you for life, period, right? Not just prepare you for engineering, but just life. So I'm always having these side conversations with you all about different things. So I was just wondering, because I saw your faces, you were looking like, wow, you know, like I never thought about that. Like I never thought about me working for this place is aiding and abetting, you know, oppression and maintaining racism and white supremacy. So just wanted to know, young warrior, what you thought. And,
it's a tough conversation for a lot of people, and it's for some people it's uncomfortable, but I think those conversations are needed and they're valuable. You know, most teachers won't do that. You know, most teachers will stay completely neutral. They don't want to say anything, but I think it's just, you know, that's a real perspective you should have. You should know that before you get yourself into these, you know, these contracts that you sign in. You know, you should know that. You should know that information. And it makes people feel uncomfortable, but it's a conversation that needs to be had.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Brother Haki, any closing words, brother, for the listening audience?
Oh, yeah, no, just Asante Sana, thank you for having me on the platform, man. And, man, my only message is, man, just please educate yourself on international issues. Because at the end of the day, so many of us here in America, let's just be honest, man. Like, you're living in a box. You know what I'm saying? That's a form of colonialism. You know what I'm saying? See, this is the thing with Black people in America. Just because they think that they have some kind of, you know, so-called equal rights as an American and things of that nature, they don't realize that they still suffer from symptoms of colonialism because you're still colonized. Facts. You're colonized because you don't have no land. You don't have no independence. You still are, you're occupied at the end of the day. We're being occupied at the end of the day because at the end of the day, we're still going through a form of segregation because you still got our people, they still in ghettos, they still in housing projects and things of this nature. So you got to understand that's a box on your mind. So when you're fighting that oppression every day in this box inside the Empire of America, you're not even caring about what's going on outside of America. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day. So a lot of these views and a lot of these opinions and things of that nature, it's just a symptom of our own colonialism. At the end of the day. So they not trying to see outside the box called America. So at the end of the day, I just ask people, you know, who watch this, you know, this broadcast thing of nature, please educate yourself on international issues and things of that nature, because we're everywhere. We're not just in America. Black people exist everywhere. So you got to get in a line and educate yourself about this so you won't be left out of other people being oppressed that actually affects you at the same time, because we're all being oppressed. So I just leave on that note. Educate yourself on international issues and politics.
I say, Brother Nasir, any closing words for the listening audience, warrior?
I mean, I don't want to piggyback, but I think education is very important. I think just try to get both sides of the story. You know, formulate your own opinion. That's my main thing. Just formulate your own opinion. You know, I'm not saying that everyone has to agree with how I feel or how anyone else's feel, but man, just try to get both sides. You know, when people are coming out with stories like, oh, 40 babies were decapitated, it's like, you know, go get the full story. You know, it's just people. I've seen so many people. You know, I saw someone recently, Justin Bieber. Everyone knows who Justin Bieber is. He posted a picture of you know, Israel, what he thought was Israel, with missiles, you know, desolated the whole city, and said, you know, oh my God, Bob, you know, everything he said, you know, a little heartfelt message for Israel. And the whole time the picture was Palestine. So it's just like these people just don't even know. It's like you don't even realize that you're being manipulated. You don't even understand, you know. Go and get the full story and formulate your own opinion. The misinformation is abundant right now.
And that's exactly what it is, misinformation. So he didn't even know. He probably was taking the picture from somewhere else and reposting it. And it was horrible, a horrible mistake, because his platform is so huge. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, I'm with you. Do your own research. Stop listening to everybody. And, you know, and like you said, Brother Nasir, what did you say? Get the full story. You know, they say his side, her side, and the truth. Get the damn truth. You know, I say his side, her side. Get the truth. You know what I mean? Get the truth. So let me drop a bomb for you, warriors. Fire! 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 In the building tonight live. Family, take a moment to thumb up this video. Thumb it up, thumb it up, thumb it up. Also, family, sharing is caring. All right. We want to each one teach one. And how do you do that in the 21st century? How do you do that in 2023? You share it on your social media platform. So if you're on Facebook, post a link. If you're on Twitter, tweet the link. If you're on IG, throw it in your story. I know Brother Haki, he's good with making clips. He made a clip. The clip that went viral on IG the last time he was on here. And I got to take some clips from the last time you were on here, Brother Haki, and start posting them on my social media as well. But family, take a moment out to throw these clips in your story, links in your story. Let's get the word out. Again, tonight we offered a Black perspective on the Israel-Hamas war. And I love what Brother Haki said in the beginning. And I'm going to bring Brother Ankh on probably this Sunday to unpack this. When he was like, it's not really a such thing as Israel. I don't even want to call it that. Because because he's talking about those collections of myths. I don't want to offend anybody in the chat. I know I probably did. But a lot of folks think that it really was this place. And it is not. It's that place in that book, yes. But outside of that book, it wasn't. Even, and then Brother Haki, we can even, I know we closing out, but I'm sitting here thinking about people saying that, there were slaves in Egypt. You go over to Egypt, they looking at you like it was no millions of Jews enslaved here. Like, so it only exists in that book. You know what I mean? It only exists in that book. And so I loved earlier when you were just like, nah, like it's not even, I don't even want to call it Israel. Like that's not even what it is. There's no such thing. But in these people's minds, they really believe that it is this was this place, where they believe it, that's theirs. It's their holy land in their minds. That's what they really believe. And so I do want to bring Brother Ankh on to talk about the religious undertone of this whole war. I think we definitely need to unpack that. And like you said, going all the way back to them, the Holy Land and Moses and them. And it goes all the way back and just telling that story. And so anyway, I do want to thank the folks who came in. Thank you so much for thumbing up the video. Thank you for sharing the video. Also, family, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, be sure to subscribe. Come on over to dr.maat.msu. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell so that whenever I go live, you will be notified. Also, family, join me back here tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have the adjustment, I think they're called the Adjustment Syndicate. These young brothers are coming on tomorrow to talk about battling anti-African and anti-science, and that's what they've been doing, battling anti-African folks and anti-scientist folks. So anti-science folks. And so anyway, we're going to talk about the importance of that. Why should we be battling these narratives that are floating around on social media and even, in the community? So we're going to talk about the importance of that and fortifying our community against misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. So anyway, family, if I don't catch you on tomorrow, if you don't catch me tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, join me back here on Sunday. Again, I'm going to call Brother Ankh and see if he can come on to help me talk about this war from a religious standpoint. So Brother Haki, thank you so much for coming on, Warrior. Brother Nasir, thank you for coming on, Warrior. You all, chat, peace and Black power to your family. Peace and Black power.
Peace.